Ta-da! Busy day today. I got this engine back on the subframe. I got the flywheel, clutch, bell housing dialed in, reinstalled, trans installed. This was an absolute nightmare. The instructions tell you to install the bell on the engine first, along with the clutch and everything. I could not get the trans to get in squarely, no matter how hard I tried when I tried to install the trans separately. So I ended up, after fighting with it way longer than I should have, I pulled everything apart, mounted the bell housing onto the trans first, along with the hydraulic throw-up bearing and the spacers, and then I was able to get it stabbed in pretty easily. Didn't have to fight it or anything. So your results may vary, but that's what worked for me. I could not get it to mate properly when I was trying to do it separately. So everything looks pretty good. Do have some concerns. Namely, my rack to pan clearance is tight on one side. Can't even really see it, but there is some. There's not much of a gap. And non-existent on the other side. So clearly when I use the junk engine block, I probably miscalculated just how heavy this pig is. And just from engine mount sag, I don't have any clearance. So I'm not too worried about it just yet. I'm going to see if I can just loosen the rack and slide it down a little bit. If that doesn't work, maybe I'll do something with the bushings and sleeves to get it to sit a little bit lower. But yeah, not the end of the world. I had to replace the mount brackets because this was originally for an LA engine. I had a stroker in this car, so I welded in the brackets myself. And this side of the engine is extremely tight in chassis, to the point where you're grinding the lip to fit the alternator in a lot of cases. The valve cover and coil packs are unbelievably tight. I purposely did shift this over a good 3/4 of an inch to give me a little bit more clearance on the passenger side. I don't think that's going to affect anything else based on what I measured. And yeah, I mean, I got plenty of clearance. Can't really, it's hard to see it, but between the AC compressor and the rack, there's actually plenty of room. It's actually, let me get a better look back here. Yeah, you can see there's tons of clearance. So we're good there. What else? Yeah, I just did a bunch of routing and clipping, making sure everything's slashed up nice. Got P-clamps on the bell housing bolts, support bracket for the line. Oil cooler lines are going to be tight, but I think they're doable. It's hard to really get a good angle in here, but I think what I'm going to end up having to do, I'll try 90 and 45 degree ends, but what I'll end up having to do most likely is get direct fit hose ends that thread directly into this with an O-ring boss instead of using an adapter fitting, because it looks pretty tight. I think that'll work just fine. And lastly, while the right angle oil filter adapter from the TRX trucks works great, and it does allow you to retain the use of the oil cooler lines, which is specifically why I went this route, I already know I'm going to have to trim part of this lip off because it's going to be in the way of the sway bar bracket. So shouldn't be a big deal. The oil filter, I think, will still be fine because it's going to sit up quite a bit more. I mean, the saddle mount's right here. The bar's probably right about there. I mean, it'll be close-ish, but I should be fine. Stay tuned.